Okay, so imagine this. A wall of trees stretching 8,000 kilometers right across Africa, from Senegal all the way to Djibouti. It's this incredible living barrier meant to stop the Sahara Desert from expanding. That's the vision of the Great Green Wall. Seriously, one of the most ambitious climate projects on the entire planet. But there's a huge problem. I mean, a massive one. Despite this grand vision, the project is, for the most part, failing. So let's dive into why, and then explore a pretty radical new idea that might just be the thing to fix it.
So yeah, that's the central question we're really going to unpack here. What is going so wrong with a project that has so much support from all over the world? And the answer? Well, it's not simple, but it all starts with this gigantic disconnect between what's been promised and what's actually happening on the ground.
Get a load of this number, $20 billion with a B. That's the absolutely staggering amount of money that countries and big institutions have pledged to make the Great Green Wall a reality. I mean, with that kind of financial muscle, you'd expect to see a continent literally being transformed, right?
But this is what actually made it to the ground between 2011 and 2019. Less than $150 million. It's an almost unbelievably tiny fraction of what was promised. So you got to ask, where did all that money go? Well, that question is really just the beginning of the story.
You see, this insane funding gap, it's just one symptom of a system that is deeply, deeply broken. The traditional charity-first global push model has created what you can only really call a wall of ghost trees. So let's break down the core failures of this approach.
The whole problem really boils down to three main things. First up, you've got the funding trap. That $20 billion, a huge chunk of it just gets vaporized in bureaucracy, endless meetings, and so-called project preparation fees. Second, there's the ghost trees problem. Success is measured by how many saplings go in the ground, not how many are still alive a year later. And third, and this is a big one, the security vacuum. Huge parts of the Sahel are now active conflict zones, which makes it pretty much impossible for traditional aid workers to even get in there.
And if you want to see the ghost trees problem in black and white, this quote just says it all. A recent study in Senegal came back with this absolutely damning verdict. Basically, saplings get planted for a quick photo op, but then they die because there's no water or they get eaten by goats. The whole system is designed to look good in a report, not to actually grow a forest. Something has to change.
So what's the alternative? Well, it means we have to come at this from a completely different angle. Instead of thinking about reforestation as a charity, as a cost, what if we started treating it like a revenue-generating asset? This is the core idea behind what's being called the for-profit forest.
And here's what's so interesting. This model is designed to create value from day one. It's a three-part system. So instead of using slow-growing native trees, it uses this hybrid Paulownia tree that grows incredibly fast. It's ready for timber harvest in just 3 to 5 years. And while those trees are growing, farmers get immediate, steady income from beehive honey farming. But the real key, the thing that ties it all together, is a blockchain platform that turns the carbon captured by these trees into a transparent, tradable asset.
The process itself is actually pretty simple and elegant. Step 1, you plant the tree. Step 2, you use satellites to prove that it's actually growing and sucking carbon out of the air. Step 3, you tokenize that verified growth into a digital asset, basically a carbon credit. And finally, step 4, that asset can be bought and sold on an open exchange. You're literally turning biology into a transparent financial product.
Yeah, this is the perfect way to think about it. The blockchain platform isn't just some database. It acts as both the bank, securely holding all that value, and the stock market, letting people trade that value. It completely solves the crisis of trust and makes the health of the forest something you can literally bank on.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds fantastic on a PowerPoint slide, but the reality on the ground in the Sahel is brutal. Any plan that's going to work has to face the Achilles heel of this whole thing head on, and that's what we call the last mile problem. And that leads us to the biggest question of all, the elephant in the room. The very areas that need this the most, the ones with the most degraded land, are also active war zones. I mean, you can't exactly harvest timber or trade carbon tokens if you're running from insurgents. So how does a for-profit model survive where charities have already failed? But before we even get to physical security, we have to talk about market risk. Let's be honest, the crypto world is filled with worthless carbon tokens that are basically scams. To work, this has to be the exact opposite. Its value can't come from internet hype. It has to be backed by verified real-world tree growth. That's the stuff that attracts serious buyers like Microsoft and Google, not crypto gamblers.
So this model actually has a built-in strategy to tackle these huge risks. To solve that security paradox, the goal is to create hundreds of thousands of local jobs, giving young men a real economic alternative to joining insurgent groups. To avoid the token scam trap, you build it to the same institutional standards used by firms like JP Morgan. And to fix that data gap, the ghost trees problem, you use satellites to watch every single tree. If a tree dies, its digital token is automatically destroyed or burned, which ensures the value in the market is always tied to a real, living, breathing asset.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you start to see that this isn't just a new project, it's a fundamental paradigm shift. We're talking about moving the entire logic of reforestation from the world of charity and donations into the world of capital markets. And this comparison just nails the difference. The old model, it gives a farmer a tree and just hopes for the best. The new model gives that same farmer a tradable token that represents the real value of that tree. The old model is a cost center, always needing more donations. The new one is a revenue-generating asset. We stop measuring success by counting how many saplings we planted and start measuring it by the actual financial value created for the people who live there.
And that, right there, is the simple, powerful thesis at the heart of this entire model. It's about taking the most powerful force in the global economy, the profit motive, and aiming it directly at solving one of the world's biggest challenges, climate change. It's about making saving the planet profitable.
So what's the ultimate test of all this? In the end, it all comes down to this one idea. If you can prove that the digital token representing that tree holds its value better than the local currency does, then local farmers will protect those trees with their lives. Why? Because the tree is no longer just a tree, it's their bank account. And that might just be the only way we can scale this idea to 100 billion trees.